Hello listeners, welcome back to Akone Informapedia, your go-to podcast for decoding complex policies and notifications in simple terms. I'm your host Dr. Ashok Rathoure, and today we're diving into a recent office memorandum issued by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This OM, numbered F number IA3-22/5/2025 IA3-E258537, was released on 28th of February 2025. It addresses an important clarification regarding environmental clearances under the Environmental Impact Assessment Notification 2006. So grab your coffee, sit back, and let's break this down together. Before we dive into the specifics of this OM, let's first understand what the EIA Notification 2006 is all about. The EIA framework classifies projects into two broad categories. 1. Category A projects. These are large-scale or high-impact projects that require environmental clearance from the central government, specifically the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. For example, major highways, ports, or power plants fall under this category. Their assessments are guided by recommendations from the Expert Appraisal Committee. 2. Category B projects. These are smaller-scale or medium-impact projects handled at the state level. They require clearance from state-level environmental impact assessment authorities, with input from state-level expert appraisal committees. Over time, amendments have been made to decentralize powers further, allowing SEIAAs and SEACs to take charge of more responsibilities. And that brings us to the crux of today's discussion, the new OM clarifying how these authorities should operate when it comes to amending, transferring, splitting, extending, or even accepting the surrender of terms of reference and environmental clearances. Now, let's get into the meat of the matter. Here's what the OM says. 1. Authority shifted to SEIAAs and SEIAAs. The OM makes it crystal clear that SEIAAs and SEIACs are now the competent authorities to handle any changes related to terms of reference and environmental clearances for projects originally granted clearance by the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. This applies specifically to cases where projects were initially categorized as Category A but later reclassified as Category B due to changes in thresholds or general conditions. For instance, if a project previously required central approval because of its size or impact, but subsequent amendments lowered the threshold for central oversight, then the responsibility shifts to the respective state authority. 2. When does the central level still apply? There are exceptions though. The OM specifies two scenarios where the central government retains jurisdiction. 1. Absence of SEIAA-CSE. If a particular state or union territory doesn't have a duly constituted SEIAA or SEIAC, those Category B projects will still be processed centrally. 2. Applicability of general conditions. Even if a project falls under Category B, certain general conditions might elevate it to Category A status. However, and here's the nuance, even in such cases, the nature of the project remains unchanged. For example, a Category B2 project, which typically doesn't require an EIA report, would still be treated as B2 based on its environmental management plan, despite being considered at the central level. 3. Processing responsibilities. The OM emphasizes that SEIAAs and SEIACs must follow the procedures laid out in the EIA Notification 2006, while handling cases related to amendments, transfers, splitting, extensions, or surrenders of environmental clearances. There's no room for shortcuts here. The process needs to be transparent and compliant with existing regulations. Alright, so why does this OM matter? Let's talk about its implications. First, decentralization is strengthened. One of the biggest takeaways is the reinforcement of decentralization. By empowering SEIAAs and SEIACs to manage tasks previously handled by the MoFNCC, the OM reduces the burden on the central government and allows states to play a more active role in environmental governance. This shift aligns perfectly with India's push toward cooperative federalism. Another critical aspect is clarity. Before this OM, there may have been confusion about who handles what, especially when projects transition between categories. Now, everyone knows their roles, ensuring smoother operations and reducing delays caused by jurisdictional disputes. By streamlining processes and delegating responsibilities appropriately, the OM aims to make the environmental clearance system faster and more responsive. Projects won't get stuck in bureaucratic limbo anymore, thanks to clearer pathways for approvals and modifications. To sum up, This office memorandum is a significant step forward in aligning the environmental clearance process with current regulatory frameworks. It promotes decentralization, enhances efficiency, and provides much-needed clarity on the division of responsibilities between central and state-level authorities. For policymakers, businesses, and environmentalists alike, this OM serves as a guidepost for navigating the evolving landscape of environmental regulation in India. Whether you're applying for an EC or simply trying to stay informed, understanding this document can save you time and effort down the line. That's all for today's episode of Akone Informapedia. If you found this breakdown helpful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Got questions or topics you'd like us to cover? Drop them in the comments below or reach out to us on social media. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning. You've been listening to Akone Informapedia. Stay tuned for more insightful discussions. Goodbye.